Hey guys, we're going to go over the mixed review from September 10th. If you had any questions because you got an answer wrong, go ahead and look at this video. So this is just a list of questions. And we're going to go over each one. I'm sorry they're not numbered. It would make it a little easier, but each one is kind of shuffled throughout your quiz, so you're just going to have to kind of find it. 0 minus 2. So the first few questions we have, questions 1, 2, 3, and 4 up to here, are all going to be your integer questions. So we're basically just adding and subtracting integers. So you have to remember your integer rules, and if you have to, use the number line. Okay, remember a number line looks just like this. And I'll show you how to use it with question number 1. So 0 minus 2. So on our number line, we're going to start here with 0, and we're going to subtract 2. 1, 2. So remember on a number line, you have a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each hash mark goes by 1, and this goes in the opposite direction. So if we start at 0 and we move 2 places to the negative, which is to the left, 1, 2, our answer is negative 2. 3 minus 9. Same thing, 3 minus 9. If you look at a number line, we start at 3. And let's put some hash marks. -2, 1, 0. So negative 2, 1, 0, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, and then we move negative. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, all the way -9. We really don't need to go that far, and I'll show you why in a minute. Because we're starting at 3 here. And a subtraction, we're moving to the left. So we're going to take away 9 from the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're left with -6. Now, 9 minus a -4. Remember that 2 negatives equal a positive. Two negatives equal a positive. So 9 minus a -4 means we're going to add them both together. So 9 plus 4 is 13. Same thing here, -5 minus a -2. Now we're starting off with -5, but now we have to subtract a -2. But the same rule applies here. So a negative minus a negative is a positive. So subtract, subtract, they turn into a positive. So now we have the question of 5 plus 2. 5 plus 2. So I'm going to draw the number line for this one. And we're going to start at -5. And finish drawing my number line. Let's draw a few hash marks here. We can even go in the other direction with a -6. I'm sorry, not -4, -6. So if we move this way, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and so on. So we're starting at -5. And because we're adding 2, we move to the right. So 1, 2, and we are left with a -3 as our answer. All right, so those are your integer questions, those first 4. And now we're going to move on to the exponent questions with integers. So we have 2 squared plus 4 squared. Remember your order of operations. Order of operations tells us we have to do the exponents first. So I'm going to do the exponents here. I'm going to rewrite this question. Exponents first. 2 squared is 4, and now 4 squared is 16. So now we have 4 plus 16 equals 20. Let's look at the next problem with exponents. 5 squared plus a -2 squared. Same thing here. I'm going to rewrite the problem. 5 squared plus negative 2 squared. Exponents first. 5 squared is 25. And negative 2 squared, what is that? Remember, if we multiply a negative times a negative, so negative 2 squared, I'm going to write it to the side, is basically saying negative 2 times negative 2. So what is negative 2 times negative 2? It is positive 4. So we're going to add 4. Our answer is 29. Next question, negative 1 squared plus 1 squared. Same thing here. Rewrite the problem real quick. 1 squared. We are going to do our exponents first. So negative 1 squared is the same as saying negative 1 squared equals negative 1 times negative 1. And we have negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1 because a negative times a negative is a positive and 1 times 1 is just 1. So we have a 1 here plus 1 squared, which is also 1. Your answer is 2. Negative 5 squared plus 0 squared. Let's go ahead and look at that problem. 5 squared plus 0 squared. Negative 5 squared is going to be 25 because negative 5 times negative 5 is 25, becomes a positive number, plus 0 squared. What would 0 times 0 be? Well, 0. So our answer is 25. All right, let's go ahead and look at the radical questions here at the bottom. Remember that this sign is the square root. Okay, so we're trying to find the square root. This is called a radical. So let's look at it. Square root, I'm going to rewrite it here. Square root of 21 plus 100. Always, always, always add the numbers first. So 21 plus 100 is 121, and leave that radical. Leave the square root sign. And the square root of 121 is 11. So another term that you have to remember here is that 121 is a perfect square. It's a perfect square because a number multiplied by itself will get you 21, and that number is 11. So this is your answer. And the other one is 25 plus 144. So 144 plus 25 is going to be the square root of 169. This is also a perfect square, and your answer will be 13. Use that square root button in your calculator. Remember, you can use a calculator on all of my problems in this class. All right, looking at the last couple of problems we have here, they're a little bit harder just because we have decimals involved. But we are going to have 5 squared plus 7 squared. So let's look at this problem here. 5 squared plus 7 squared. Always do your exponents first because we're still using the order of operations. So 5 squared is going to be 25 plus 7 squared is 49. So 25 plus 49 Okay, so we have 74. Now 74, if you remember, is not a perfect square, so we actually have to type it into the calculator and do the square root of 74. And we get this number, 8.60232526704. A very long number in your calculator, but our direction tells us to round it to the 2 places after the decimal, right? That is the same as saying the hundredths place. The hundredths place. So remember from rounding in the very beginning, we're going to look at the second number because that is where we need to round to. We need to round to the 0. So we look at the number behind it, and the number behind it is less than 4, so this stays the same. So your answer is 8.6. Or you can write it like this as well. All right, next problem. Let's look at 3 squared plus negative 2 squared is going to be our exponents first. So the square root of 3 squared is 9, plus negative 2 squared is 4, and your answer is the square root of 13. Same thing as the previous problem. This is not a perfect square, so we have to type it in the calculator and find the square root of 13. And we get another long number, 3.60555, so on. And it also asks us to round to the hundredths place, which is 2 decimal places. And we look here, it's a 0 again. But when we look at the number behind it, it's a 5, which means this 0 becomes a 1. It increases by 1. So our answer to this problem is 3.61.